about the things.
Welcome to Corner Cafe. I'm Rachel Maines, and my guest today is the frontrunner of Stryper, Michael Sweet. Michael, thanks for coming on Corner Cafe.
Hi, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Great to have you. You know, you guys have had a long run, and that you must be proud of that. You have your 40th anniversary tour, and that must be, just a huge feat, and you guys must feel like, this is pretty cool.
It is very cool. I mean, we went our separate ways in 92, and then we got back together again officially and started touring again in 2003. So for 9 years, we weren't doing anything as a band. I was doing solo stuff and released a few solo albums in the Christian market and did touring for that. But yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, the fact that we're still going, we're still together, we're touring, we're releasing new music. It's really a great feeling. And, a lot of bands don't have that opportunity to do it for 40 years. So we're very blessed. Yeah,
absolutely. And would you credit that to the Lord, just keeping you guys still going and, the camaraderie that you have in Him?
Oh, for sure. I mean, absolutely. And, my personality, the way God made me, is I'm an overachiever and a go-getter, and I'm one of those guys that can't sit still. So it's just, I don't like to not work. I like to do things, and that keeps me busy. If I had a different personality, we may not have reformed. We may not still be doing it. Who knows? But I love my job. I love my calling, and I love what I do, 100%.
Yeah, talking about that go-getter personality, you guys have a documentary film, I hear?
We do. We've been working on that for a few years. We did a Kickstarter fundraiser, and I think the goal was $100,000, and we raised almost $250,000.
Wow.
And it took us a while to find the right team, but once we did, we started shooting and getting interviews, and we've gotten a lot of interviews. And it's going to be more about the fans' perspective than the band's perspective. A lot of rockumentaries. It's the band sitting around talking about the history of the band. And this one's going to be a little different, a little unique. And we want people to see the impact that the message and the music of Stryper has had on many lives.
Right, and especially since you guys were a forerunner with your genre of music as a Christian band, is that, one of the reasons, too, why you decided to go from a fan-based perspective?
Well, I mean, we just wanted to we've met so many fans over the years whose lives have been altered, like, miraculously, like drug dealers becoming pastors.
Wow.
Of mega. So, things like that are just miracles, and we wanted that to be heard and to be seen. That's more powerful to me than the band sitting around talking about how we wrote our first song.
Right, absolutely. And it's testimony, and the Lord says, share your testimony. It's really powerful, and people can see how changed lives, from what you guys have been doing and sharing the message of Christ.
For sure, no question about it.
What are you most looking forward to with your new album coming up? When We Were Kings, what's some things that you cherish with this album?
Well, I mean, it's a throwback to the past musically. It's an album that we worked really hard to incorporate the things that fans want to hear from the past, but yet still remain in the present. And not go back to 1986 and too much so, or so much so that you're kind of spinning your wheels and you're not relevant in 2024. We have to make sure that we stay somewhat relevant, and we can, because we're trying to reach younger generations, new generations, and we're doing so.
Right.
We a lot of new people, 15, 16, 17-year-olds in the crowds night after night. So that's really an important goal of ours to do.
Yeah, I love that. It is 2024, and I'm sure you have a great perspective on just the church as a whole and the gospel message being shared. What do you feel are some of the challenges out there in this new culture of 2024?
Well, it's interesting. We saw resistance back in the 80s based on our look and uniqueness, and, we were a little different, and I don't know that people really quite knew how to accept that. But now we just see a blatant denial of God in so many ways. I mean, I think, sadly, a lot of believers have kind of grown out of God. A lot of people that say, "Oh yeah, we were believers, and we had a deep faith, but we kind of matured and got wise to that." Things like that. You certainly hear that, and or the younger generation just doesn't really want anything to do with God. It's kind of a multicultural, multi-religion, accept all, believe all mentality.
Right. Yeah, it's very challenging.
It is challenging. It is. But I mean, we just stay true to who we are and deliver the message, excuse me, according to how we always have. And, the lyrics are right from the Bible. I rely on that heavily with every song that I write. And we have literally songs. There's a song called Yahweh about the crucifixion of Christ, and it's taken right out of the Bible. It's basically scriptures put to music, and we just stay true to that. And if you do so, that's the best you can give and the best you can do.
Right.
Let God fight your battles for you. Let direct people to the Word of God, and that's all you have to do, and that's all you have to say.
Right, because He does the work. When you're faithful to that, He's faithful to do the work. It's not, we can take the pressure off. It's not me getting somebody saved. It's the Holy Spirit at work when we work with Him. So I love hearing that.
Exactly.
Do you have, you've been in the industry for a while, any concerns or, praises, if you will, of kind of where the Christian music industry is right now? Well,
I mean, we've seen a lot over the years, good and bad. We're a band that's kind of crossed over. So a lot of our shows, the majority of our shows, are in mainstream or secular venues, clubs, and playing on festivals with bands like Judas Priest and Pantera, and that's kind of what we do. And then we play Christian festivals too, and it's a bummer because often we see more issues at the Christian festivals than we do at the mainstream secular festivals. And what I mean by issues, I mean just the way things are handled, the way things are done, the way things happen. And unravel. For example, we go to play with Priest, and they're very, they're mindful of what we need on stage and how much room we need and how much time we need. And they say, hey, yeah, absolutely, we made sure you guys had enough room and this and that. And then we go to a Christian festival, and we don't have any time, and we don't have any room on stage, and we don't, and it's those things that you see that I'm thinking to myself, wow, this shouldn't be happening. It should be the opposite.
Right.
But that's not to throw anyone under the bus. It's just that it's sad when you experience that, because it shouldn't be that way.
Right, because we carry the name of Christ, and that happens in a lot of different areas, even at the workplace, or working for a Christian organization. We can get grieved just because we hope, hey, we should put the best foot forward for the name of Jesus and anything we're doing. How have you guys as a band just stayed true to that? Because I know being in the limelight, and then just the hours of the tour and stuff, it can be draining. How have you guys stayed close-knit and just, put your faith as forefront?
It's very draining. I mean, it's a different lifestyle. I always compare it to traveling in a circus.
Yep.
you set up, tear down, set up, tear down. You don't see your family or friends or family, most of the time. You lose track of life. You lose time with loved ones that you can't get back. It's a very unique lifestyle. But at the same time, we kind of knew that getting into it because we grew up in a musical family, and our grandparents, our parents, our aunts, our uncles were musicians, and we kind of knew what to expect to some degree. So, we chose this life, and God chose us to do it. So there's no complaints here, but it is definitely a very draining, not glamorous life. People think it's a glamorous life. Oh, you're in the music business, you got it made, and it's like, well, come hang out with us on the bus for a week, and then let's see if you're going to say that still. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, for each individual, and for those who are listening, when we carry our cross, we take up our cross, and we follow him, he has unique calling for all of us. But I believe within that unique calling, there always is going to be a cross to bear.
Oh, yeah. No question about it. I mean, we're living out of suitcases and, 5 a.m. lobby calls and 4 and 5 shows in a row, and you're going on 4 hours of sleep sometimes and for days. And you have to perform, go up there and give your all and perform at your best, highest level, and you can't. And, you miss your dog, you miss your cat, you miss your mom, you miss your dad. And there's not a thing you can do about that. It's just, all that type of stuff that, there's something to be said for the lifestyle of the day-to-day routine where you get up and do the same thing over and over again. There's something beautiful about that too, but that's not our lives. Our lives are very different from that, but it's okay. I'm 61 years old, and there's no looking back or changing at this point in time.
Right. Yeah. And I'm thankful that you guys, and that's how the perspective we should have. There's this retirement perspective in our culture, Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that. I think we always should be doing something and not live for retirement, but live for the vision that the Lord has given us. I think that's a fulfilled life.
Absolutely. 100%. Unless you can go to Turks and Caicos for 10 years and do
right.
That might be different.
Exactly. Well, I know that family is important to you, Michael. When you're there in your hometown or the town that you're living in, how do you prioritize so that you're getting some rest and some time with your family, and so you can just enjoy the rest, if you will?
Well, I mean, the good thing is, we try to keep it in the family. So my daughter travels with us and works with us.
Oh, that's great.
My son did years back. My wife co-manages the band, so she travels with us as well. And those are great things, and I'm able to at least see and spend time with some of my family. But I don't live in the same town as most of my family does. My mother, my father, my brother, my sister, they all live in Las Vegas. I live in Massachusetts, so I don't see them as often as I would like, but it's nice to have time off to go and see them. Right. Or to have time off to bring them here to see us. And, those are just special moments you can't really explain, So it's wonderful. I still get opportunities to do those things, but just not enough. Music is our world, and it's a blur. It's nonstop. Interviews, traveling, recording, performing, you name it. It's just nonstop. And before you know it, the year is gone. Right. And then before you know it, 10 years are gone. But, again, I'm a very blessed man. I mean, I have no complaints. I mean, what God has done in my life and what he's done for me and in the band and our families is just I can't put it into words how honored we are to be called for some reason, and we don't know why. We're just regular guys, but God called us to do this and has really used us in powerful ways, and it's such a blessing. It's incredible.
I love that. And I can hear your humility in that. And God uses people who have a humble heart. And I love how you can express that.
We're always reminded about how, when you just start to think you're something, you realize very quickly that you're nothing, And,
right.
and we're all the same in God's eyes. And, it's important to stay humble. It's crucial. I mean, you can't let anything go to your head. You really can't.
Right. And from my own personal experience, he knows how to humble us pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. And then you're just sitting there going, you idiot. Why'd you do that?
Right. Well, our culture is going a little crazy, I think. It's getting interesting in our culture. And over the years, as you've grown as a band, and then, of course, grown in your faith, grown as a husband, grown as a father, do you have any comments on the current culture?
Well, I mean, so many. I don't know if we have enough time, but I think it's sad to see. It's something I've been noticing a lot lately is a lot of people who have been married for a year or two or three splitting up and getting divorced. And over what in my mind seems to be just silly things. Like we had an argument.
Right.
And you're just thinking, what? I just feel like there's less fight for marriage and the values of our faith and things that are so important and worth fighting for. And I do see a lot of that, like a lot more, maybe statistically I'm wrong, and by the polls and all that stuff, but it just, what I see around me and meeting people, there just seems to be a lot more divorce going on. And that's really sad. It's heartbreaking to see that.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you specifically commented on that, Michael, because I was going to ask you, the breakup of the family union, if you will, here in the United States, it's being attacked. We know that the enemy doesn't like a strong family because a strong family builds the culture,
Yeah.
So he's definitely going after that.
Well, I think we've all, to some degree, kind of been brainwashed a little bit, because all this stuff creeps in slowly, and then all of a sudden you're flooded by it.
Right.
The stuff that you knew, everyone seemed to know wasn't right, and now it's acceptable.
Right.
And it's just really weird. It's like we're sitting watching a show on regular, at the local channel, and then you're sitting there and these people, it's borderline porn, and you're thinking, what is going on here? This is really bizarre.
Right. You
would never have seen this 30 years ago. And it's acceptable. And you're sitting there watching it. Your grandkids are in the room. And it's like, what is happening? This is so weird. I don't know. And it's like if you say anything about it, you're a weirdo.
Right.
It's not about being prudish or anything like that. It's just about, I think what happens is we let our guard down a little bit and sin creep in, to our hearts and our minds. And then we wake up one day and, we're caught up in something really bad.
Right.
And we're kind of sinking out in the middle of the ocean, and God's probably looking down and it's just shaking his head thinking, well, what do you think would happen?
Right.
And I think it's not just as individuals, as a society, I see that. There's this just weird darkness that's all over, not just the U.S., but the world. And I think the Internet has a lot to blame for that. We've kind of opened new doors, unfortunately, with the Internet. And we're all addicted to our phones. And, by being on our phones 24/7, we see and hear things we should never see or hear.
Right.
As Christians. And it's just a weird thing. We've become numb to it all, and myself included. I mean, I'm guilty of it as well.
Yeah, me too. Definitely addicted to my phone, and I feel like it's created, just not being able to just sit still and be at peace and rest. I always have to be looking at something, or I feel like I'm missing something.
And then the other side of that coin, absolutely. The other side of that coin is the addiction of self-gratification of us needing to be seen, selfies constantly,
right?
Stories about yourself. Look at me. Look what I've done. And I get it, but I don't. I mean, and I do this too. I'm always posting pictures of me playing or stuff of me doing this or me doing that. And I just step back and I think, gosh, maybe I should be posting something else. It's a little bit too much me.
Right.
And I don't know. Maybe I'm rambling.
No, I've thought the same of myself too, and especially being in entertainment media, it's kind of like expected, and you have to self-check. You're like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the only way we can promote. It's the only way we can promote ourselves. All the socials and whatnot. And I mean, I'm on between Instagram and X and Facebook. I'm on every day, 3, 4, 5 times a day, posting stuff. And, sometimes I just want to not post for a year.
Right. I know. But you're expected to, so that's how the culture is right now. Maybe there'll be a shift, maybe we'll all get sick of it in the future and be like, no more social media. I don't know. That may be a perspective that is too good to be true. So, Michael, what's different with this tour? I know that there's, 40 years and all that, but what do you feel is different as people go experience this? What are they going to experience that may be a little bit unique?
Well, I mean, we're doing a classic set in more classic style clothing for the first set. Then we're going to do an intermission and then come out and do a modern set in modern clothing. And so that's going to be very unique and very different. We're obviously supporting not only 40 years, but we're supporting When We Were Kings album, which comes out September 13th. So we're doing 3 tracks from that album. And, it's just a celebration of 40 years and the ministry of Stryper and what that has accomplished and all the people that, have felt the effects of that and their lives have been changed or altered. And they're going to hopefully be coming out to the shows, and we're just going to be celebrating, singing along to all these songs. And we're doing more theaters, so there's going to be a lot more situations where people are sitting down instead of standing up for 3 hours. That'll be different, and it's going to be a unique experience in a really cool way. And we're excited to go out there and do it. And we leave in, I think, 10 days, 11 days, start rehearsals. We rehearse in Nashville for a week, and then we hit the ground running.
And I see here on your website, you're going to be in Denver at the Oriental Theater, October 21st. Yeah, that's a great theater too. So, and that's at 8 p.m. Michael, all these years being a musician, traveling, if there's someone listening right now who is a musician and they just would love to hear some of your tips on how you made it and how you stayed grounded, what would you say to them?
I mean, just, I had a little bit of an edge because I grew up in a musical family, so that really helped me, and that's all I've ever known is music. But I've worked really hard, and, just when you think you're working hard enough, you need to always realize you're not working hard enough. You could always work harder. There's always more you can do. Go after opportunities and work on your craft, work on your performance, work on your songwriting, work on whatever it is that you do. Work hard at it. Be diligent. And don't slack off, And that's what I've tried to do, and I've tried to apply that to my life, and it's worked. It really has worked. But, I would just say just keep working hard. Obviously, pray, put everything before God and lay it at his feet and trust him, and he will guide you. He's not going to betray you, or misguide you. So really trust God in all that you do and work as hard as you can.
Amen to that. And then is there anything you do daily to keep yourself grounded? I mean, prayer is one thing, but anything else that you do?
To keep myself grounded, I just pretty much do regular things, like watering the flowers. I go out every day and I water the flowers, and it's therapeutic for me. I don't listen to music. I don't do anything, but I just sit there and water flowers for an hour, and I can think about a lot of stuff and clear my head. Take walks. Sometimes it's just sitting and just with my eyes closed, and maybe people would call it meditation, but just sitting and in quiet, in silence, and just thinking. But I live a pretty quiet lifestyle. I'm not one of these guys on my downtime where I'm on the go all the time. I like to just hang out. I usually do projects around the house. I love to build things, put things together, do things to the house. And then, like I said, just kind of take it easy.
Yeah. Are you a little bit of introverted, Michael?
Definitely. Yeah. I was always very shy and certainly introvert. I had to figure out a way to flip the switch and become who I am on stage every night. And I still try to figure that out because that's not me at all. To go out and, take control of a crowd and lead the band and command everything, I can't do it. It's just weird, but I do it. I have to do it. But yeah, I'm definitely more of a shy personality, quiet, laid back for sure.
Yeah, so then your cup gets full when you have your alone time. You're with the flowers, you do the walks and stuff, so you can get filled up, so you can put all that energy then to be on stage again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And even still, I'm like, oh, really, we have to go out. And then once we get out there, I'm enjoying myself and loving every minute of it. And but then when we get home, I'm like, oh, do we have to do that again?
Yeah, I can relate. I'm introverted as well, but then being in radio, people don't suspect that. So,
right.
Well, Michael, it's been a joy getting to know you, hearing your heart, and I want to remind our listeners to go to the website Stryper.com, and you can click on the tour tab, and they're coming to Denver October 21st. That's a Monday at the Oriental Theater at 8 p.m. It's going to be a great time. Well, Michael, thanks for the honor of coming on Corner Cafe, and wishing you guys all the best.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Rachel, and you taking the time to talk to me. And we look forward to the show in Denver. It's going to be amazing. Okay?
It's going to be amazing. I'll reach out to Brian and see if you guys have tickets to give away, and I can give some on air.
Okay, perfect.
Well, thanks for tuning in to Corner Cafe. I'm going to see you at the cafe next week.